Welcome, family and friends, to another edition of Catching Up with Covenant. Today I'm with Denver Davis. He has been a member of Covenant for over 40 years. Welcome, Denver, and thank you for taking some time out to do this interview.
Well, thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Covenant, you may or may not be aware of this, but Denver is a beekeeper. How long have you been beekeeping, and what led to your interest in beekeeping, Denver?
Okay, it started probably in the year 2010. I was at that time raising a pretty good sized garden, vegetable garden, and had done that for several years. And we had noticed a decline in the amount of bees around my garden, pollinating, honeybees especially. So, and we also heard on the news that, in the wild, the bees were declining. They were actually in trouble. So we thought we'd help out nature as well as ourselves at that time. So there's several bee clubs around. In fact, each county has a bee club. So we joined a bee club, and they give you an introduction training to start with, and they're always happening on Saturdays. Of course, me working for the airlines, I was working Saturdays, so guess who got to go to the meetings and learn about bees? It was Anita. Well, soon she taught me, and that's how I got into it. Actually, we thought it would be a more easy job than it actually is, but it takes a lot of time. So that's how we got going.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. What are some safety precautions that you take when you, or I'm assuming there's some precautions, maybe there's not, maybe you just go out there?
Well, you're right. You've seen them on TV, people going in with their short sleeve shirts on and actually have bees around them, but I'm not one of those guys. I take every precaution I can. When I go to the bee hive that I have, I am fully dressed with a full bee suit on from head to toe, a hat and a veil, gloves, boots. So I'm fully covered, but that don't always get you safely away from the bees. But
so I guess you've been stung a few times.
Yeah, I have. Sure have.
What, go ahead.
I was just going ahead and saying that I take precautions too as well. I'm sure you have heard about smoke being used when you go inside the hive. So that kind of calms them down. They really think the woods are on fire, so they go down into the hive and tank up on their honey, so they don't just boil out when you open up the hive.
Okay.
And it calms them.
Okay. Well, that leads into our next question. What does honey harvesting look like? So kind of tell us the process from the bees to you.
From the bees to me.
From the bees to you to the table.
You're talking about that after they have stored it in their honeycomb in the hive, I suppose.
Right.
Well, sometime in June this year, we will rob the bees. We'll take a good portion of their stores that they have for the winter. Of course, we'll leave about 40 pounds for the winter, but we'll try to take as much as we can without endangering them going starvation throughout the winter. But first you do is you go out to the hive fully dressed again, and usually Anita, excuse me, Anita is usually with me, and so we'll set off of super, what they call a super. It's just a section of the hive that you lift off that we've added just to collect the honey in. Set that off, and we actually use a leaf blower to remove all the bees that we can out of it. It's open on two sides, or top and bottom, and we'll set it down on the ground, and the leaf blower will blow all the bees out, and then we'll set it in the wheelbarrow and head for the house, hoping the bees don't collect back on it before we get here. And then we vacuum off whatever is in there, inside the garage closed. So once we get it inside the house, we'll take out the individual frames. There's 10 in each super, so we'll take it one at a time and decap the honey cells and set that into a centrifugal drum. It's similar, like example would be your washing machine, that when it goes on to the spin cycle, you have clothes in there the water is slung to the outside, and the pump pumps it out. Well, just pretend that the clothes are the B frames, and then you turn on in this case, mine is hand turned, but it spins the honey out to the sides of the drum, and it runs down. And then we have a spigot that we open up and strain it and put it in a larger container. And from there, we let it set for a couple of days, and then we'll put it in jars. So that's pretty much the process, the short version anyway.
Well, it sounds like I didn't realize it's a few days long process.
Yeah, from the time you go get it to the time you go in the jars, yes, it is.
Yeah, wow.
You could leave it in the larger containers, but we usually try to put it out in jars pretty quick,
Okay.
as soon as we can.
Yeah. Well, do you have any stories of being chased by bees?
Well, yeah, there's always that case. Just a couple of weeks ago, I was into a hive, and the bees are funny, I guess you might say. Every hive has a different personality, you might say. And it really depends on what they're doing when you go into the hive, how aggressive they are too. Sometimes you think that the bee suit is not necessary, even a veil, but other times you definitely know it because they're dive bombing your mat, your veil. You can actually hear them hitting the veil. But other times they're real gentle. But a couple of weeks ago, I was out in the hive, and I could tell they're pretty aggressive. And one actually got in my veil, behind my veil next to my face. And I could hear it buzzing, getting into my hair, flipping my hair around. And I panicked. I started running away, jerked my veil off, my hat, it slapping my face, knocked my glasses off. And there's another way you can go run through a cedar bush or an evergreen and kind of brush things around your head, and it usually goes away. So he didn't actually sting me, but he sure got my attention. Yeah, and that happens, a couple, 3 times a year. Your bee will get after you.
Well, that story gave me chills.
Oh, well.
I think I don't know. Oh.
I was out of breath. It didn't give me chills when I finished it. Yeah, I was running. Yeah, but
That's awesome.
they hurt for a little bit, but they don't. The sting hurts for a little bit, but not that long.
Mm. Yeah.
I guess it depends on the person, but that's the way it acts with me.
Okay. That's awesome. Well, Denver, thank you for your time, and thank you for sharing bee harvesting. And I'm assuming if somebody watches this at Covenant and they're interested in learning more about bee harvesting, you'll be willing to talk with them and maybe even get them up and going.
Absolutely. They need somebody to either attend a club or have a mentor or somebody to get them started. It's a lot easier.
Yeah, awesome. Well, again, thank you, and thank you for joining us for this edition of Catching Up with Covenant. I pray that you and your family are doing well, staying safe, and you're encouraged in the Lord. Have a great day, Denver.
Well, thank you. You have a great day as well.